stop meeting like this.
Yeah. Like right before we're supposed to be publishing. Yeah. Is this the podcast? I feel like we start every episode like this.
It's because, like, how else are we supposed to start it? This is us. This is your purple friends, everybody. Hello.
Hello.
I'm Jo.
I'm Corey. I'm Corey.
Yes.
I don't really go by Co, but sometimes we go by Jo&Co collectively.
Yeah, collectively we go by Jo&Co. I go by Jo quite a bit.
Yeah.
But you don't go by Co.
No, but if you say it, I'll answer. Hey, we have kind of a weird episode today. Do you want to tease it a little bit?
Sure. Today's going to be a fun little bonus.
I guess it's kind of a bonus. This is a special episode.
Yeah, it's not anything crazy, deep. It's just more fun. We're going to be talking about fictional therapists and media in movies and TV shows.
Yes. We're taking a break from our normal deep dive into deep, dark, tragic stuff to bring you a lighthearted episode.
Yeah, just for fun.
Yeah.
It's just for fun. This is just for fun.
And if it goes well, I mean, there's lots of fictional therapists that we could talk about.
Yes, we're
just
going
to talk about a few.
Yeah, we're going to talk about 4 today. But if any of you feel like we missed a particularly good one, feel free to let us know in the comments of our Instagram post.
Yeah.
Because, I'm sure that there's lots of therapists out there, like fictional therapists.
Lots of stuff that we've never seen. Lots of older movies, I would say, too, that we've never seen. Like one that I saw. Well, I'm not going to get too much into it. We're just teasing this because that's not how we start the episodes in this podcast.
That's right. It's just this one. Not any further content. Just today. We're very present people.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say we should start with some little gratefuls.
Oh, yes. Great idea. Yes. Great idea. I'm actually feeling very grateful just because I paid off some credit card debt. And you know what? That always feels really good. So I'm very grateful that we were able to do that. And it feels freaking good.
Yes, it does.
Credit cards.
Whoa. Big old bleep. Yeah, I totally agree with you. 1,000,000%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's my little I feel big grateful for that one.
This is a totally different thing. Very different wavelength on my little grateful here, but I'm so grateful for, like, okay, let me see if I can try to describe this. Like, your favorite thing. Like, the concept of favorite things. Like,
oh, you're grateful for the ability of having favorite things.
Yeah, for favorites.
Yeah.
Like, so our daughter's 3. I've been really trying to get her to like understand what favorite means because I want to know what her favorite color is and her favorite animal and stuff. And it's just so much fun to like, oh, do you really like this? Oh, is this your favorite? I know, I think so. Like, and then we see something else. Oh, this is my favorite. It's just.
And she's recently started to like express that. Like, what was it the other day that she's like, this is my favorite? Was it gummy worms?
Oh, yeah, I think so. Yes. Yeah. And between that and we went to the zoo.
Yeah, we went to the zoo.
And we were trying to decide whether our favorite animals were giraffes or penguins.
Oh, she did say that the giraffes were her favorite. That's what it was. That's what it was. Oh, what a good little grateful.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, so favorites. What's your favorite animal or what's your favorite thing you like to share with people?
My favorite thing, I mean, is probably just like crafting hobbies, painting, art.
Yeah. Oh, that's
knitting.
A good one. Crafting hobbies. My favorite thing. So that's like your favorite thing to do with your time. My favorite thing that I like to share with people. I really like to tell people about my favorite dinosaur and my favorite shark. Therizinosaurus and whale shark.
Thank you.
But I will spare everyone from going any further on that.
Whale sharks.
Yeah. My favorite animal in general is actually the bears, but it's just bears. The bears. It's not the football team, the Bears.
Your favorite animal is the Bears.
My favorite animal is 45 to 55 Chicago men.
It's so funny coming from us. For anyone who knows your purple friends, like we sports who, like we do not watch any sports.
I just said 45 to 55. I made a complete fool of myself.
I don't know.
Yeah, I have no idea. There might be 8 people on a football team. I don't know.
I don't think so. I usually feel like there's always a lot of
It's like
them.
a gang of them out there. There's like a lot of people on a football team.
I'm always very surprised to hear that there's only 5 people on a basketball team.
Well, 5 people in play at any time. They got a big old bench just like football. Well, not just like football. You're right. It is a lot.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like 5?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, that's about as deep as our interest in sports gets. Just like, that's interesting that's different from that sport.
Yeah, or like, why'd they do that that?
They did it like that.
Oh, my God.
Why did they did it like
Sports
that? I don't
baffle me, but you know what? Lots of people get it.
If you like sports, you're still welcome here.
Yes,
We're not
absolutely.
anti-sports.
We're not exactly. We're not anti-sports by any means. It's just the sports are anti-me. It kind of feels.
It does sort of feel like, especially like, from, I feel like, I want to say 2008 to 2018, it felt like sports were very against me.
You got quite a few injuries.
I did, actually. Now that why not? It's a bonus fun episode.
Mm-hmm.
I broke in a bone playing a lot of sports. I broke in a bone playing basketball, soccer, football. I broke in actually a few bones playing a couple of those sports.
Oh my goodness.
And here's the thing. I am not a sportsman. I'm not a sports guy.
You're like not competitive at all.
Nope. I was on a couple sports teams because my friends were on them, and then I got very badly hurt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean,
what are we talking about right now?
Sports. Can you believe it? Yeah, no, Little Gratefuls. Your Little Grateful was great. Favorites are awesome.
Favorites. Yeah.
Our least favorite thing is sports, though.
No, it's not my least favorite thing. I like so many things way less than sports. Sports is like neutral. Sports fans. Well, we could discuss that separately. Again, that's a separate litigation.
Anyway, shall we start with our first?
I would love to. I feel we've ostracized enough of our listeners.
No. They don't feel that way.
We're just playing around, y'all.
Yes, absolutely. First therapist.
Yeah. Who's first?
Shall we talk about Anna Kendrick first?
Oh, Anna Kendrick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So our first therapist comes to you from the film 50/50, starring Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
JGL.
Should I look up some stats on this movie?
Sure, when it came out, yeah. Okay. Seth Rogen's in it, and Anna Kendrick. And also Bryce Dallas Howard, that little person.
You do not like her.
Yes. Anyway, Bryce Dallas Howard. But she plays a bad lady in this movie.
She tends to do that sometimes. You ever notice that?
She played a really good bad lady in The Help. Yeah.
Okay, so here we go. We've got 50/50, which came out in, IMDb, I wish I could see, 2011.
Wow, 2011?
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense, actually.
Oh, like the portrayal of the therapist, or just in general?
Just in general, like JGL.
The vibe of
the vibes, like who was casted and stuff. Anyway.
Yeah.
In this movie, Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character, I don't know his name. I'll just call him Joseph.
50. Oh, Joseph.
Gets cancer, and where he has a 50% chance of surviving. Mm-hmm. And in his treatment course, right, they recommend him therapy. And the therapist is Anna Kendrick, who is getting her doctorate, and she goes by Dr.
Katherine McKay.
Is that... Yes.
Boom. You weren't expecting that.
I was not.
I don't even have any words in front of me.
Full name, Dr. Katherine McKay. Wow.
Are you Dr. McKay? You can just call me Katherine. I just watched that scene.
Yes.
Prep for the episode.
Yes. So she plays his therapist. And you know what? I remember thinking, so 2011, I probably I had just graduated.
Your actual age right now. You had just graduated high school?
High school. Yeah. So I was nowhere near being a therapist. And I remember thinking, she seems like a good therapist.
She seems fun.
Yeah, she seems fun. And she is. She is very fun. I like her as an actress. Mm-hmm. And honestly, again, 2011, the portrayal of a therapist, I felt like it tried.
Yeah, I mean,
it tried to be,
and there were some parts of it where I could tell, they want to portray therapists a certain way.
Yes, a different way from how it's been traditionally.
Yeah,
portrayed.
It's specifically they make a big point. Her introduction is all about her age.
Yeah,
you know,
she's
who she is.
young.
She's not like an old man like who
Right.
you're traditionally used to seeing. Probably in 2011, pretty typically still.
Right. So I think that like really appealed to me, and I was like, oh, she seems like a good therapist.
Yeah, she might have launched a few young therapists.
Possible. I mean, maybe.
Could be. I won't put my name on that one.
But upon watching her now,
Yeah.
we've created a little rubric here, and we're going to start to go over it. Because there are major red flags, which to us refer to ethical boundaries being breached.
Yeah. Let's just go over the rubric real quick. Okay. We have the red flag factor, which is like ethical boundaries being breached. We've got like the toolbox test, which is like, what are they actually doing therapeutically? What is their approach? Yeah. Are they actually a competent therapist? Then there's the connection quotient. I made all these names, by the way. That's really like a measure of like their client-centeredness, like how well the therapist prioritizes their client's needs, that kind of thing.
Like, are they an effective therapist, even in the context of this fictional story kind of deal?
Yeah, not just like, are they serving the narrative of the plot? Like, are they actually like a good therapist connecting to this client, trying to help them?
Correct.
And then the realism and the believability, the could this happen continuum.
So those are kind of like the traits that we'll be grading these therapists on. And like I said, upon rewatching 50/50, specifically the scenes with Anna Kendrick, man, there are some major red flags, like kind of like right off the bat.
Yeah, there are some issues here.
Yeah. Again, in that first meeting together, like it's very known that he's her third client. She is very inexperienced. She's like in the middle of having lunch, which is like fine. Like therapists are humans. They have to have lunch too. But man, that intro was so like, I felt so like secondhand awkward. I was like, she is not like prepping the space for her client at all. I felt like JGL was so off-putted. I feel like he didn't know what to expect. He was kind of confused and lost. And I just felt like she was not meeting him where he was, you know, which is totally where he had just learned he had cancer, was in shock. And like Anna Kendrick does say to him that like, you're experiencing shock. But I just did not like how she told him what he was feeling.
Yeah, that's no good. That's actually something that we'll talk about with maybe one or two of these other therapists, is that like being so like, oh no, what you're feeling is this.
Yeah, that's, I feel like, a very common thing. And maybe, again, it's probably like a plot tool to progress the story, because therapy does take a long time. And if you have a 2-hour movie, you want to make quick moves, you know? Another one of these red flags. Really.
Are we building up to the huge one?
Yes. Spoiler alert, she dates her client.
Yeah. That's
oh my God.
Okay.
She dates her client.
Wait.
Yeah.
For people who don't know, why is that not okay?
Well, there is an ethical code of conduct for therapists, and there is a whole section on having dual relationships with your clients, and why that's not okay. You know, dual relationships can stem anywhere from like intimate partners to like, they are my barber, or they are, you know, we go to the same church, or they're part of my family or my friend's friend. And so it's important to keep those boundaries delineated, because you're essentially coming at it from a third perspective, right? That's kind of the point of a therapist, is that like, you're not personally involved in your client's life, right? And so, she kind of opens the door to that by giving him a ride home one day and like answering his phone calls. And, you know, I think she shows up to his house at one point. And yes, at the end, spoiler alert, they live happily ever after, or whatever.
Yeah, I guess she keeps her license. Or
she keeps her license. She becomes a full-blown doctor.
Well, really quick, going back, when you talk about why it's not okay to do certain things, like the reason, like, yes, there's like a code of ethics, like it's written that that's like not okay, but the reason it's not okay is because like it creates a power imbalance. Right. Which is like the center of like most dysfunctional relationships, or a lot. I won't say most, but like,
right. Cause like if I'm your therapist and I know all these intimate details about your life, and then suddenly I'm also in your friend group, like, or in your family dynamic, like, yes, the point again of therapy is to have it be a safe space, right? And so, yeah, you're absolutely right of just making sure that there isn't that dynamic that can hinder the therapeutic relationship.
Yeah.
So obviously that is a pretty major red flag. Don't date your clients. Just don't.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and so that kind of leads me into like the believability factor. And like, I'm not saying that this isn't unheard of or unbelievable. I am sure that this has happened, which is why it's probably in the code of conduct to begin with.
But also,
but also
it does seem like it's in a lot of like an outsized number of portrayals of therapists in media.
It does kind of feel like that's a common trope, right? And like,
it kind of seems like it's meant to, I want to say, like, diminish female therapists, it seems.
Interesting. I was just kind of thinking that it was more of like just another one of those fantasies, like librarian, school teacher, a cop, you know, like I feel like any role can be fetishized.
Yeah, that's true.
And so
I was just double checking to see, and 50/50 was written by a man. So, you know, keep that in mind.
Yeah, keep that in mind.
In 2011.
Keep that in mind, because there's another example later that kind of like shows the opposite of this situation. Anyway, so yeah, overall, Anna Kendrick does have a lot of red flags, but in terms of like her therapeutic approach, again, in 2011, I can see where like there was this effort to make it more client-centered, make it more casual, less clinical, less old man in the chair. Tell me about your dreams and your relationship with your mom type of therapy.
Right.
And it's kind of shifted over to this more like modern, I don't know what you would call, like, approach to therapy, you know, like young and hip and approachable. And like I said, as a young person then, it was effective. I thought she seemed like a good therapist. And then again, like watching it, she does create a connection with her client, obviously.
Yeah. That is not a problem for this therapist.
No. And like, obviously her client does feel seen, so much so that he like leaves his girlfriend, his girlfriend leaves him.
Yeah, and she's like a bad person too, it turns out.
Yeah, but Anna Kendrick,
I can't remember. I'm sure it's not that black and white, but I think that in 2011, they probably did make it that black and white, that she was just a bad person.
Yes. I mean, there's a whole scene where Seth Rogen calls his girlfriend a bitch.
Yeah. Why are you making me more editing work?
you just don't worry about it. Just go beep. You know, it's no big deal.
Costs us $10,000 a second to do those. You know that?
Okay. I'll try to tame it.
No, let it loose. I will. Okay, hold on.
Yeah, don't tell me to let it loose, because you know what that looks like.
Maintain the facade of an educational podcast.
Okay. All right. So yeah, that's kind of Anna Kendrick. Like I said, I feel like in terms of her effectiveness as a therapist in the plot, she was there, right? She was there for him emotionally, which is what a therapist was meant to do in that position in this movie. He survived his cancer. He is in remission. They end up together happily ever after. Nothing happens to her, which is unbelievable.
That part is not believable.
Yeah. All right. Shall we talk about our next therapist?
Yeah, I want to do the next one.
All right. You go.
Okay, should
I pull him up?
No, I know. I'm just.
You have all the info? You came prepared?
Yeah, it's all in. It's all up here. Okay. I'm going to pick Robin Williams' character from
Good Will Hunting.
Yes.
Classic.
Sean McGuire. I'm pretty sure we did a full disclosure. We looked at scenes on YouTube of like the actual therapy of the therapy scenes. We've seen these movies, but we did not just like rewatch all of these. So right now, I will say up front, there's a part of me that is not 100% clear if Sean McGuire is a licensed clinical clinician.
Yeah. Those details are a little foggy. From what I remember, I think he's a professor of,
and maybe retired
of like clinical
have an
practice
active license.
But for whatever reason, right? Like
because he's from the same neighborhood as the main character, he is like chosen, and the friend of his mentor or his shepherd savior character.
And he tried a lot of other therapists. Like this kid was too smart for everyone else. That like,
Should we say the plot of Good Will Hunting? Good Will Hunting is about.
What year did this come out? 1990.
No, that's your job because I'm talking now. Good Will Hunting is about a young man named Will in Boston, and he's an orphan. He's kind of like a hooligan. He's a janitor at MIT, and overnight, he like secretly sneaks in and solves these formulas that only like a couple people in the world would be able to solve, and then like hides and like sneaks away to hide, I guess. So he's like a genius, and one of the professors there finds him and tries to coach him into being like this mathematical prodigy powerhouse, and he's just like, that's not in his nature. Like his roots are like too strong, he has so much trauma, and he's like working through it all, and there's just so much, and I'm gonna not belabor the point, but so anyway, let's talk about their relationship.
I mean, they're on the cover of the movie. I feel like their relationship is like
the
central.
Yes. His journey through therapy and Robin Williams' character's journey as his therapist is like definitely the core story of the movie. Yeah.
So how would you say Robin Williams is as a therapist?
That's really hard to say.
Is that something I should say?
No. I would love to weigh in, but I would like to preface by saying I am, of course, not a therapist. I'm not a licensed therapist.
But you do have some background and knowledge on like what makes a good therapist.
I do. I would say I have a lot of background in that.
Yes.
I would say that considering the number of therapists that Will went to with zero connection, like zero effort, like nothing between them, Robin Williams using sort of like their shared cultural connection was effective and maybe the only way that could have been reached. But obviously there's like a lot of stuff in the movie that is like so red flag, so not okay, so illegal. Like in their very first meeting, Robin Williams grabs him by the throat like because he provokes him.
And like if you ever lay hands on a client, like bro,
it's not just your license, like that's your freedom. You're in jail now.
And like he comes back, or like they keep meeting, and I guess we should talk too about like the countertransference. So countertransference is whenever a therapist experiences personal feelings or, is triggered by their client, that reminds them of one of their own personal relationships or family of origin or, whatever. Right. So like if I had a boyfriend that abused me, and then suddenly I have a client that looks just like my ex, and I start treating him shortly, or
really, really hard on him,
like that is countertransference. And I feel like because Robin Williams' character he like so much of Will's character resonated with him, he did feel some countertransference, and I think that came out in some of the aggressive reactions that they had towards one another. So that was really interesting. I mean, again, in the effectiveness of the story, they used it as a plus, right? But that can get real messy.
That's not okay. So like barring the illegal stuff, like let's talk about like self-disclosure, because Robin Williams' character does a lot of disclosing of his own personal details that is like way past what almost anyone would say is okay in a clinical setting. Yeah.
Self-disclosure is one of those topics that is kind of, maybe controversial.
Hotly debated.
Yeah, definitely hotly debated. On a large scale, you're taught as a therapist to be a blank slate, meaning that you don't self-disclose. You don't share much of your personal information, and you don't even react or respond to your client telling you something. So if your client's like, yeah, I was beat as a kid, you're not supposed to be like, show any emotion on your face, show any expression verbally or externally. And so now there's been a pretty huge shift towards like using self-disclosure as a benefit to the therapeutic relationship, right? Like
in very like measured amounts.
If the purpose is to benefit the client.
Yeah.
Right. So that they gain more insight or clarity or connection, or just feeling the sense of relief of like, oh, I'm not the only one, you know? And full disclosure now, I do self-disclose in sessions, you know?
And like, I mentioned this a little bit earlier, like the characters in the movie have this shared cultural connection. Like there's differences across different cultures over like, beyond therapy, like what is appropriate to like share between people. Like we've talked about this before, like something as simple as like physical touch, like giving somebody a hug is like so like complicated.
It can be very powerful, can be very
unwelcome.
Unsafe.
Yes.
And so like you obviously can't treat your clients as one size fits all.
Right.
There are obviously ethical considerations, right? Again, that's one of the things that like where self-disclosure can be a positive, you know, like there's lots of culture and where like, if you don't share anything of yourself, there's a distrust there.
Yeah. They will never make a deep connection.
Right. And so, that's or even physical touch, or even like recieving gifts, right? Like those are all things that I think it's important to be mindful of,
because typically
who you're talking to.
Therapists are not supposed to accept any gifts from clients at all.
And like, I'm not gonna say no to a gift that like
somebody like handmade you,
right? Or like it's our last session together, or whatever. Like. And here's another thing, like I cry with my clients literally all the time.
Yeah.
Like,
sorry, everybody.
And not sorry.
Yeah, not sorry, actually, because it's done phenomenally for you.
Well, no, I just mean that like, it's a safe place for you to feel emotions. And like, I am there with my clients, and sometimes I feel deeply with them, you know, and I don't mind sharing that with them. And another thing too that I should mention is how like self-disclosure can go as far as like how you choose to express yourself outwardly too. Like we've talked about like how your office is set up, if you have pictures of your family up, or if you have a wedding ring on, like all that is self-disclosure. What you choose to hang on your walls, you know, how you choose to dress. And I'm too transparent to like keep that stuff.
You're an emotional being.
And I think that honestly, like, I think that can be very effective and can be very comforting for many clients. It's a lot of movement.
We're going to have to pause. For a second.
Okay. What about his like toolbox? I mean, I feel like he had some substance as a therapist.
Let me just to speak on Robin Williams' toolbox. I don't know. I don't know that I see a ton. I think he provides a valuable like mirror to Will when Will needs it. Yeah,
I would say so. I think too, like very baseline, he is an active listener. You know,
yes, that is true.
He's patient with his client. He goes at Will's pacing.
Well, no,
somewhat.
I would not say that. He kicks Will out several times.
Oh, he does, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Not a very believable situation. Yeah. I think he would probably definitely get arrested for choking his client.
Yeah. But that would require, you know, this kid who's fallen through the cracks to like press charges against him, which is like
probably also unlikely.
In the movie, yeah. But
he was a very effective therapist in the plot of this movie.
Yeah, and why? And people love this character, right? Like, isn't he like well regarded, right?
He is.
I mean, he definitely makes a connection with this like unconnectable client, it feels like. But what besides that? Maybe that's it. Maybe that's all it took.
I think I think about that very powerful scene where he's like,
it's not your fault.
Yeah, that scene where he's telling Will that it's not his fault that he was physically abused, right? Which is very powerful. And I think people just resonate with that. Sometimes we just need to hear a certain message, and sometimes it comes across in a movie. So yeah, I do, like I said, I do think he was an effective therapist in this context only.
He's a very good movie therapist, not a great real life therapist. I think he only had one client.
Yeah. Maybe we should grade them all at the end.
Oh, okay.
But what's your gut reaction with this guy?
I hate to say it because like I really like the movie. I really like the character, but as a therapist, I mean, I got to give him an F. I mean, you cannot physically assault your client. Sorry, F, automatic fail.
I'm gonna rate him an F.
You can.
I'm gonna rate him. Oh, man,
don't feel pressured by my.
No, because I mean, yes, obviously, physical assault is a straight F in that category. But if we're talking about just rating and we're balancing all these out, his other qualities, I think, bring that grade up a bit to maybe a D.
Okay, yeah.
Which is also what I'm grading Anna Kendrick's therapist, because did you know that you can actually have these dual relationships with your clients if they've been 5 years out of your...
Oh, yeah, I have heard that. Is that brought up in the movie?
No.
Oh, okay.
No. So that's why I gave her a D, because, like, I guess it's, like, fine-ish if there was a 5-year time jump. Like, there is that.
Yeah, did he suddenly have, like, a lot of hair when they were seen at the end together?
No, but his scar, like, looked...
5 years older.
No.
To show that time had passed.
To show that time had passed. Anyway, that's what I'm giving her. Because she also wasn't very competent. Like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we didn't even talk about this, but she does not seem like she's had even one client, much less 3 clients. She seems like pre-supervised therapy.
Yeah. And like, I get that, like, I remember being a fresh therapist and feeling a whole bunch of imposter syndrome, but she didn't seem like that.
She seemed like she had a lot of confidence actually.
Yes. Yeah. But had nowhere to go with it.
Yeah. And actually like said a lot of things about her client in their first meeting, like after meeting him 5 minutes ago. Or
like she also did a whole bunch of like scenes where she like touched his arm again, like trying to initiate that like comforting physical contact. And it wasn't awkward.
Yeah.
So she gets a D.
A D. Okay. I want to do my next one. I know that I'm doing 2 in a row, but I think we should save yours next one for last.
Okay, fine.
Okay. My next one is a character from Wednesday. And her
TV
name
show.
Is, the TV show, Wednesday Addams, that TV show. Her name is Dr. Kinbott. And you might remember her. She's kind of scary in the show.
She
You want to see a picture of her? You watched it.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what else she's been in, because she's like a pretty famous actress.
Yeah, I think she's a comedic actress.
She's a comedic actress. Yeah, she's blonde. And yeah, I mean, obviously, like in this small town and where like Wednesday goes to school and stuff, she's like this brightly colored, like her office is light and airy in this very dark show.
Kind of like Gothic Castle.
Yeah. And so like it does kind of give like an off-putting vibe of like, read the room, lady.
Yes. And that is a big problem of hers. I will say, I don't think that there are, full disclosure, the scene that I watched the most was just their first session where Wednesday goes and hides in the bathroom. But there were no red flags. Isn't that weird?
Well, no, there was one that I caught.
What?
There is one scene where Wednesday is outside of her office or outside of somewhere and like in public. And the therapist walks by and says, "Hello, Wednesday."
Oh yeah, that's
and
not
like
okay.
outs her completely. Yes.
That's a HIPAA violation.
Yes. If
Anna Kendrick does that too.
Yes. I mean, obviously like driving her client.
I think she outs him in front of his family too.
Yes, that too. Oh my God. Yeah, that too. But yeah, you know, like that's
bad.
clients, if I ever see you in public, I will not acknowledge you or say hi to you unless you say hi to me first.
And if you say hi first, she will not reference therapy.
Yes, of course. So yeah, just going out and being like, hello, Wednesday. Like, no, especially in a small town where, like, again, people know that she's the therapist.
Yes. So red flags, just to clarify, when I said she has no red flags, obviously she's a very, like, disconcerting character. Like, she's very menacing toward Wednesday at first. I'm counting that more as, like, one of the other categories, like maybe her approach and competence.
Or, like, connection, being able to connect to the client, because
she cannot connect to Wednesday. That is a huge issue. So much so that Wednesday suspects her of, like, a whole nefarious plot before she is spoilered later. And anyway, so yeah.
And I think they even do a family session with Wednesday's parents and the brother too. And, like, even that goes kind of awry. Like, I believe she, like, breaches confidentiality too.
Oh.
Yeah. I do think that she's definitely more on the straight and narrow in terms of, like,
a lot of editing on this one. So you said she's more, like, on the straight and narrow, but that doesn't mean she's realistic. Like, obviously she's so, like, weird and over the top and menacing and, like, is so, like, weirdly alienating and alienated at the same time.
That's a good point.
Yeah, she, like, sticks out like a pastel.
Yeah. I do think that they did try to make her more realistic as a therapist. Like, there are some things she talks about, like trying to help Wednesday get some clarity. Like, she reaches out and talks about, like, her relationship with her mom and stuff like that. So again, I can see where they tried, but yeah, I mean, effectiveness as a therapist in this context, not really.
Yeah, it feels like ultimately her character was just a way to, like, be
get in the way
suspect.
Of something. Yeah.
So she's kind of served her purpose in that way, and I guess she didn't go too much beyond that. Like, she really wasn't there to help Wednesday turn into a different kind of person, because then why would you watch the show?
That's a good point, right? I love what you said there. Like, she wasn't really there to actually make a change in the character's life. You know, like Robin Williams did make a change in Will's life, you know?
Yeah.
Anna Kendrick did make a change.
Yeah, of her own way.
I can't take that one serious every time I talk about it. I just laugh. But yeah, no, this lady, nah, she did nothing.
No, but you know what? She didn't do either of the two really bad things that the other ones did. So I'm going to give her a C. Yeah,
you know what? I was going to give her a C because, you know what? She passes, but it's like, you have to be a little bit more self-aware.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes.
Maybe go to Stars Hollow.
You have to meet your clients where they are. Like, you can't just, like, that's not a way to build trust, is to be like, way up here, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, I'm talking like this because I'm Wednesday Addams.
Right.
That's very off-putting to your clients.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, and I again, like, vibe. You have to vibe with your therapist. Literally, that's what the whole thing is about, right? Is like how important it is for you to connect with your therapist. And like, obviously this therapist and Wednesday Addams just did not connect.
Well, here's something that this therapist has in common with the therapist from Good Will Hunting, is that they're the only option for the main characters.
Yeah.
I don't remember enough about 50-50. First of all, he should have walked right out and got a new therapist after that first session at 50-50. We got to stop talking about 50-50. Let's move on to the last one.
Oh my gosh. The last one, my favorite. I think so far, outside of Shrinking, which is like a whole show full of therapists, which why I don't want to do it, because it's like about therapy. So like,
yeah,
maybe we'll talk about that.
Yeah, we're looking for more like interesting portrayal stuff that's not trying so hard to be like accurate and up to date, or I don't even know what they're trying to do on that show. I don't watch it.
Yeah,
I won't say that.
Anyway, I do think that this next therapist is so far been the best portrayal of a therapist I've seen.
Me too. Maybe ever.
And so for anyone who has seen the show on Netflix called Never Have I Ever, it is written by Mindy Kaling. She was in The Office. And And it's like a coming of age. It's like a teen show, but it's really good.
Good.
It's very, very good. It's very touching and funny and heartwarming. And it's about this girl who loses her dad and is just trying to survive high school, essentially. She comes from an Indian background, so that also plays a huge role in that, like just her cultural experience and how...
Yeah, like her mom wants her to move back to India after their dad died.
Right. So she's trying to navigate all these different things, and she goes to therapy. And she has a therapist named Dr. Ryan. Mm-hmm. And Dr. Ryan, like, she's seriously great. From the first time I saw her, I was like, they researched their shit.
So whoever wrote this, Mindy Kaling, has been to a lot of therapy.
Or hired a therapist to consult with on like what it should look like.
Has a lot of respect for therapy too.
Yes. Because Dr. Ryan is great. Apart from her being a woman of color and just representing that in media, I think is great. She also was very effective, had a wonderful toolbox. I remember her like actively listening. She was cool. So like Davy, the main character, respected her and like felt connected to her. And yeah, I just found myself saying like, oh, I would say that to clients, or like, I have said this to clients. Like there's one particular scene that makes me cry every time I see it.
I wonder if it's the same one that made me cry when I was revisiting it today.
Possibly, because it made me cry when I revisited it. But it's a scene at the end of the series where I am going to cry. Yeah. But she basically tells Davy like how far she's come. And like, I say that to my clients all the time because it is such an honor to see how far they've come. And they do so much work. They grow so much. You get to witness that as a therapist and be their cheerleader. Mm-hmm. And it's really cool when they get to that point. And Dr. Ryan, I think, did a really wonderful job.
Yeah, she nailed it.
Yeah, of doing that with Davy. So I am crying, everyone. But it's just so good. It's so powerful. And I cry when I say it to my clients too. So
that's the same one that I cried at. Yeah, but you can look up Never Have I Ever therapy scenes. Mm-hmm.
And they're great.
Niecy Nash, she's so awesome. She does a great job.
Mm-hmm. She does such a wonderful job. Again, like she just is there for Davy throughout the show. Has like good boundaries, challenges her when she needs to be challenged, encourages her when she needs to be encouraged.
Oh, here's the video I watched that made me cry. It was therapists watching.
Aww.
It was for Black History Month, I think. It was so good. It was so good. I'm going to see if maybe we can like link it in the show notes or something.
Okay. Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah.
You should share it with me too.
I will.
But yeah, no red flags. I think she's great. I think she's truly like just such a good model of what therapy should be like and should feel like.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And she's like, her portrayal of therapy is so spot on, but also like it's so similar to like the kind of vibe that you give off of like, I'm gonna be here for you. Mm-hmm, you know,
I'm going to.
I'm in your corner.
Yep.
And I believe in you. But that part of that is like, I'm gonna call you on your BS sometimes. That's really important.
I feel very being on your side about that.
Yeah, is not about always hyping you up. It's about, you know, hyping you to be the best version of yourself. Yeah. She nails that. Anyway. Yeah, I got to find a way to share that video or stop promising to share video content.
Yeah, no, she's great. I agree completely. I mean, I think I feel so strongly because, I do relate to her a lot as a therapist.
She's aspirational. She's goals. A+.
She also cries with Davy in that scene, by the way.
Yes, she does.
Because I think she just shows that, like, you can't be a blank slate therapist all the time. Like, you do connect with your clients. You do feel with your clients. You do care when shit happens to them. You care when they're happy and they're sad. And, So...
Mm-hmm. I like the part where she's telling Davy that, like, she used to have to hide all of her ceramic stuff. And Davy's like, can I give you a hug? And she jumps over her table to give her a hug and, of course, knocks something over and breaks it.
And it's just funny. You know, that's just like a funny little human thing, you know, and...
Like, that kind of, like, connection is, like, that's exactly what you're striving for. Like, in whatever form it takes between, like, in whatever language the client speaks, you know?
And I like that there was no gimmicks with Dr. Ryan. Like, it's not like she was the same culture as Davy, or the same or close to the same age as Davy. Like she was her own woman, you know, and in the show, I think they did a good job of showing her as having her own life too. You know, I think at one point she's on a date or gonna go on a date or gonna go something like that. And Davy walks in and she's like, you have a life. And she's like, that's right, I have a life.
That's
like,
right.
You know, and it's just, again, there's no gimmicks with her. They didn't create this special connection because they both have shared trauma. She's just a good
like
therapist.
To move the plot forward or something.
Right.
Like,
she's just like truly a good therapist who shows up for Davy. And I assume shows up for her other clients as well.
Yeah, she's cool. I'm glad that we ended on that one. That was a high note.
Good call on ending on her, because she's the best. Obviously, she gets an A+ from me. Yeah. I mean, those are just some. Some.
Here's something I was wondering. Should we expand this next time we do it to like maybe not just like clinical stuff, but like maybe people who are like, who say that, or who just are psychologists? Like I'm thinking of Dr. Hannibal Lecter.
He's a good one. I'm also thinking of like Miss Casey from Severance.
Oh yeah,
because she's
that's
like
such an interesting
a wellness
one.
counselor. Yeah,
that's so interesting. Yeah, I like that idea a lot.
Yeah.
So yeah, we have lots of ideas to do this again, y'all. If you like it, so let us know.
Please, yeah. If you have any ideas, feel free to comment. I hope you enjoyed this more lighthearted fun.
Oh my God. This is such a long episode. They're getting longer.
That's fine. They're not going to get much longer than this, I promise. But we are so grateful that you guys joined us today.
You're a two-parter.
And we hope that you join us again next week next time when we talk about people pleasing.
Yeah, people pleasing.
That will be fun.
Cool.
All right. Thanks so much for being our purple friends.
Yeah. Don't forget to drink some water for your purple friends.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Purple Friends is an independent podcast produced by Vibe Therapy Services and is not a substitute for a session with a therapist. Our show art was created by Jocelyn Lang, and our theme music is Nature Nurture by The Implied Bear. Vibe Therapy is an Illinois-based private practice serving clients in person at our Wheaton office and virtually throughout the state of Illinois. We accept Blue Cross Blue Shield PPO, United Healthcare, Aetna, and Cigna Insurance. We also offer private pay rates, as well as 15-minute initial consultations. Therapy doesn't have to feel clinical. Visit vibetherapyservices.com today to see if we vibe.